Hello, everyone. Today I'm going to talk about grammar tenses, but not grammar tenses in English, grammar tenses in Russian. Well, we know that in English there are 12 tenses. So what happens in Russian? Actually, the key to this question are the verbs. And in Russian, the verbs are represented by the verbs of imperfective and perfective aspect. Actually, the verbs in Russian lead a double life because each verb, almost every verb, has its doppelganger, or the second half, and the first one functions as an imperfective verb and the other one functions as perfective verb. What does it mean? It means that the verbs, and I will explain because it is well seen in the grammar and in grammar examples I will present. Imperfective verbs focus on the action, on the process, while the perfective verb focus on the result, on the completed action. Well, I have a presentation here and it will help me explain what's going on in the Russian language. We have perfective and imperfective verbs. If we start from the present tense. Present tense in Russian is expressed by the verbs of imperfective aspect only. So, whenever you start learning verbs in Russian, always check whether the verb is imperfective or perfective. And if you know one part of the pair, you have to learn the second part. I would suggest that you always learn the verbs in pair as much as you can. Although you see that this makes learning Russian complicated because you have to actually learn two verbs instead of one. But you will see why it is so important. So, present tense. Present tense is only expressed by the verbs of imperfective aspect, while perfective aspect verbs have no present. There is no present for these verbs. For example, I will show you a list of the verbs in pairs of imperfective and perfective aspect. Here, look, we have, for the verb read, we have читать, прочитать. Читать is imperfective. To read, прочитать is perfect verb. Писать, написать. Write, понимать, понять. Understand. Видеть, увидеть. See. You see, very often the perfective verb is constructed by adding a prefix to the imperfective verb. And sometimes there are changes in the root of the verb, like in the case of оставлять, оставить, leave, продавать, продать, sell, украшать, украсить, decorate. So in the present, we only use verbs of imperfective aspect. For example, I read, я читаю, I write, я пишу. For the Russian language, there is no difference between simple present and present continuous. So it's just present. That's okay. Let's move on to the past tense. In the past tense, we have in Russian, we have past continuous and simple past. Simple past, present perfect, and past perfect are actually expressed by the same verb. But verbs, imperfective aspect verbs, are used for past continuous. So we can show the prolonged action, yet express some action which had some duration with imperfective verbs, like я читаю in the present, я читал, я пишу, я писал, я смотрел. Past simple, past perfect, and present perfect are both expressed by the verbs of perfective aspect, by perfective verbs. So if we take this table, we will be using the second half of the table, the second column of the verbs for the past tenses. Прочитал, написал, увидел. But if we want past continuous, we will use the first column, like читал, писал, понимал, видел. And if we speak about the future tense, where is the future tense here? In Russian, we have just future. We have two future tenses. We have future tenses for the prolonged action or repeated actions that happen every day with some regularity. For example, I will be reading. Я буду читать. I will be writing. Я буду писать. And it's complex. You see, it's a compound tense. We use the auxiliary verb быть to be in the future, буду, which is conjugated according to the person we need. Я буду, ты будешь, он будет, мы будем, вы будете, они будут. And we add the infinitive of the verb, of the sentence verb, like я буду читать, which means I will be reading, and я буду писать, I will be writing. But we also have simple future, and it is expressed by perfective verbs. So again, we will go to our table and we will use here the second column, which is perfective verbs, and we will conjugate them. And when we conjugate the perfective verb, we are already in the future, since these verbs have no present. Whenever we conjugate the verbs of perfective aspect, we are in the future. That's very interesting. So if you just take the verb прочитать and you start conjugating it, я прочитаю, ты прочитаешь, он прочитает, we are in the future. It means we will read, I will read, okay? So, and if we compare and summarize everything I mentioned before, let's go to the English, Russian equivalents. So, present simple. For the Russian language, there is no continuous or present simple. There is just simple, and it is expressed by the verbs of imperfective aspect. Well, so present continuous, okay. Present perfect, yes, present perfect past simple are expressed by the verbs of perfective aspect. Yes, so when we conjugate them in the past, using the endings of the past tenses like la, el, прошел, увидел, победил, and победила, ушла for the feminine. We have past continuous, which is expressed by imperfective verbs in the past with the same endings, el, la for the feminine, el for the masculine, like читать, читал, он, he, я читала, I was reading, so past continuous. It's interesting to see that if we go to present perfect continuous, I have been working or she has been waiting. In Russian, we express this tense with present and we use verbs of imperfective aspect. I have been working for 2 hours. Я работаю уже 2 часа. That's also very different from the English language. Well, and future tenses, there are just two future tenses in Russian. There is future simple, which is expressed by the perfective verbs. Я прочитаю, я напишу. And there is future continuous, which is expressed by imperfective verbs. And that's it. So, whenever you learn Russian verbs, please check whether the verb is of imperfective or perfective aspect and always try to find its pair so that you memorize both verbs, both forms of the verb, and that will allow you to use the tenses properly in Russian. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and you will get more stories on the different grammatical phenomena in different languages. Bye bye.